In this video, I'll walk you through everything you need to know in order to be fully ready for the last ever CSGO major. It's taking place in Paris and Blast TV will organize it, so it's gonna be an absolute banger of a festivitas. Is that a word? I think that's a word. Let's get into it. Some of you may be thinking, what even is a major? And some of you may be thinking, Jacob, I know. But let's just quickly rephrase it for everyone. A Counter-Strike major is our world championship. That's like the World Cup. It's sanctioned by Valve, the game developer of Counter-Strike. They pick an organization that could be ESL, PGL, and in this case, it's Blast to organize the major. They also financially support the major, putting in $1 million in prize pool. They're covering some of the expenses that Blast have running the major, and they're creating a lot of revenue or generating a lot of revenue around the major. You probably have seen the stickers before, the autograph stickers that all the players get to apply into the game. You've seen the team stickers. I can tell you firsthand, having played 6 of the majors, that you generate a ton of money while being and taking part in the major. So basically, a Counter-Strike major is the biggest of the biggest thing you can win. Sure, you have IEM Cologne, you have IEM Katowice, you have Blast World Finals, all these different tournaments running all year long. But if there's one tournament you want to win, it's the Counter-Strike major, and especially considering this will be the last ever CSGO major. You probably have noticed it already. I've said it a couple of times, the last CSGO major. There's not going to be another Counter-Strike Global Offensive major. We have a new game coming out in the summer. Summer 23 is what Valve have told us. Counter-Strike 2 will launch. They've also already announced that the next Counter-Strike major, the Counter-Strike 2 major, will take place in Copenhagen, but not before 2024. That'll be PGL organizing that major. So we know now for a fact that this will be the last CSGO major of all time. Blast is the organizer. Blast, who's been running some of the best tournaments in the circuit of Counter-Strike for many, many years. It will take place in Paris, which is a country, France obviously, and a city that has a rich history of Counter-Strike. ESWC, a lot of other small, big tournaments have taken place in Paris before, and France usually, not this time around, but usually had a very strong Counter-Strike scene as well, with a lot of players representing them at the tournaments. That's why I think it's a perfect place to finish it. The last ever Counter-Strike Global Offensive major taking place in Paris. If you haven't watched it before, you're coming in at the perfect time. Let's dive into some of the nitty-gritty, the format of the major. How does it take place? How does it play out? What team goes through and what teams will be eliminated and how. It can be a little bit difficult, so I'm just going to spend a little time explaining it right here. At the majors, we're using the book holes system. Book holes is a tournament format or a tournament system that has been used in other sports before, but we adopted it into the Counter-Strike majors. 16 teams qualified for the Challenger stage. Out of those 16 teams, you want to find 8 teams that progresses into the Legend stage, where another 8 teams is already waiting. How do you do that? You may think, right? You do it through the book holes system. So there's a seeding proportion of the game. 16 teams playing it out, duking it out against each other. Now, the simple rule of the book holes group stage system is the following. If you win 3 games, you progress, you move on to the next round. If you lose 3 games, you're out. There's another little rule that you need to be aware of. Teams can only play against another team that have the same score as them, and they haven't played earlier in the group stage. So let's say that I am Team Pimp and I'm playing against Team You Dumbasses out there. I win my first game, you lose your first game, of course. Then I'm 1-0 in the group stage. Now in the next round, I can only face up against another 1-0 team. While you being 0-0, you can only face up against another 0-0 team. Let's say that you win your game and I lose my game. Now we're both 1-1 in the group stage, but we can't face each other again. That's over, that's done. We already played each other, so we have to face another opponent. So that's the very simple way of explaining the book hole system. Win 3 games, you progress. Lose 3 games, you're out. 16 teams have already qualified for the Challenger stage, and 8 teams is waiting in the Legend stage. And I'll just quickly walk you through what teams that has already qualified, just so you have a sense of what's going on. For the Challenger stage, you have Monte, Pain Gaming, G2 Esports, Gamer Legion, Force Esports, Apex, NIP, OG, ENCE, Mouse, Team Liquid, Greyhound, Complexity, The Mongols, Fluxo, and FaZe Clans. Those 16 teams are the ones qualified for the Challenger stage. They play this group stage where 8 of those teams progresses into the Legend stage. In the Legend stage, 8 teams are already waiting, and the following 8 teams are Navi, 9, Furia Esports, Fnatic, Heroic, Into the Breach, Vitality, and Bad News Eagles. Those are the 24 teams competing for the prize pool of $1 million and the trophy and, I guess, the title as the last winner of a CSGO major ever. As I've said already, 24 teams qualified for the major. That makes it 120 players qualified for the major. And in those 120 players, 34 different countries is represented. I made a list over on Twitter where I walk through every single country and how many players they each have representing. I can tell you Brazil and Denmark are topping the list with 15 players each, but if you want to see the entire list and see if there's any players from your country that you can root for, you can head over to my Twitter and check out the list. I can also inform you that players like Simple, Saivu, some of the best players in the entire world, of course, are gonna be at the major. And I can also tell you, unfortunately, that some of the other best players in the world are not going to be there. Device from Astralis didn't qualify. Shiro and Exile from Cloud9, two of the best players in the world, didn't qualify. I'm telling you, just to get at the major, just to qualify for the major, takes an awful lot of skill. It's not easy. So let's do a little prediction game here before I leave you guys to. Do you now know about the teams, the players, the format? You know about the prize pool. You know about all the important stuff for the major. So you should be excited for it. But maybe you want to hear my take on who I think are some of the heavy favorites going into it. I think obviously the household names like Na'Vi, like FaZe, like G2, Heroic, those are the favorites. I think they are the teams that want to prove one final time that they are the best in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I think everyone is coming in super motivated, super excited, knowing that it will be the last time they ever have to showcase their skill in CSGO at a major at the very least. If I had to predict a couple of teams that I think is going to go very far, I'm going to say G2. I think G2 have everything they need in order to do well at the major. And I think FaZe Clan has everything they need in order to do well at the major. Right now, FaZe Clan is in a bit of a slump. They barely didn't make the major either. They barely didn't qualify. But I think that when you get into the big games, when you get into the big tournament, they will do a couple of weeks of boot camp leading into it, and I think they'll come in fired up. And we know FaZe at the A game is probably one of the best teams in the world. Now, a bit of an outsider, who is not even an outsider anymore, would be Heroic. I think Heroic as well is a very strong contender. They have the most well-rounded team right now. They have the best synergy, the best team play. Individually speaking, maybe not the best team out there in the world, but close to it. They are very strong. So, if I had to pick three favorites, I'd say G2, FaZe, and Heroic. And if I had to say one team, I'm going to go with the Legends of FaZe. I think when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, I think they want to show one more time why they are to be considered one of the best teams of all time in Counter-Strike. I'm not going to take any more of your time, and I'm not going to waste any more of your time, but I will ask you for one favor. Now that the major is starting in a couple of weeks' time, the 8th of May, it all happens, I would love if you guys would share this video, like this video, or leave a comment below on the video to make sure as many people as absolutely possible get to hear about this thing. It's the last CSGO major of all time. It's a game that I've dedicated 15 years of my life to. I've been a pro player for 7 years. I've been analyzing, broadcasting, casting games for the past 7 years as well. I participated at more than 11 different majors. So I would love to, I would absolutely love to, if you would help me share this video so we can get as many people in to watch the last CSGO major of all time. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys feel better dressed for the major, and I'll see you guys soon.